President Cyril Ramaphosa will today officiate the ceremony honoring freedom fighters and political activists whose remains have been repatriated from Zambia and Zimbabwe. The ceremony will take place at the Freedom Park Heritage Site and Museum in Tshwane. On Wednesday, the mortal remains of over 40 former liberation heroes and heroines arrived in the country as part of the Special Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route project. Ahead of addressing the homecoming ceremony, Ramaphosa will lead a wreath-laying procession at the Wall of Names, where the names are inscribed. Well, my colleagues Aldrin, Sampear and Vuyo Mvoko join us live from the capital. We start now with Aldrin Sampear. Of course, Aldrin, a good morning to you. Talk to us about what you're seeing and also the expectations of what is to come this morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Naledi. We're coming live to you from outside the One Military Hospital. As you can see, of course, this is a hospital that is a state-owned hospital, but under the auspice of the South African National Defence Force. And this is where the remains of the 42 former liberation fighters who died in exile. This is where some of their remains are. Remember that initially, according to the plan, was that 49 remains will be touching down in South Africa. This is on Wednesday when the bodies or the remains were being received at the Waterkloof Air Force Base. But because of the outstanding DNA for seven other remains, it is only the 42 today. And according to the program that we are looking at a bit later on today, we will of course have that wreath-laying ceremony that you were speaking about. But of course, the president will be officiating this important ceremony. When the remains were arriving in the country, he was at the United Nations General Assembly, and that's the reason why he couldn't receive the remains. Instead, it was the Minister of Defense, Angie Motshekga, as well as the Minister of Arts and Culture, who are leading this program around the repatriation of some of these remains. I just want to quickly go back to what the Deputy President had to say, Paul Mashatile. This was during the human rights, the commemoration of Heritage Day. This is what he had to say. Therefore, this year's theme of celebrating the lives of our heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom is fitting because it allows us to honor the lives of those who confronted adversity with unflinching bravery and stood up against injustice and oppression and finally gave their lives so that you and I could enjoy the fruits of democracy, which include equality, dignity and freedom for all. And I remember on the day when that flight was arriving at Waterkloof Air Force Base, as it was touching down, Zanda Ngobo, who will be joining us a bit later on, spoke about how some of these exilees left the country under different circumstances, but they come back to a very different South Africa, where if you take into consideration this hospital would have been a hospital that they would never be allowed to be in. An institution that is also steeped in history, as is this area as well, Pretoria, which overlooks the Voortrekker Monument, which is also steeped in South Africa's apartheid legacy. So that is going to be the focus, of course, of today. And for some family members, it is going to be opening up old wounds and the trigger that comes with it.
Absolutely. Such an important moment, right? And really a lot to consider there. Aldrin Sampear outside that military hospital where those remains, of course, will be leaving and making their way towards the Freedom Park Heritage Site and Museum, where we know that Vuyo Mvoko is this morning. Vuyo, talk to us about the families that are already at Freedom Park this morning.
Well, as I walked in, Naledi, a little earlier, the families, many of the families had already arrived. They were being bused to Isivivane, which is where I am, and some of them have already arrived, and so have the many officials from the heritage centers all around the country, including, of course, this one, which is Freedom Park. So people have arrived, getting ready for the first ceremony that will be conducted, and in a short while I am going to we're going to try and explain to you the meaning of this place and what is going to happen here over the next half an hour or so. But as you walk in, as you come through to isiVivana, you go past plaques and plaques which have got scores of names of people, heroes and heroines, from people who fought in all South African wars to people who fought in World Wars I and II, all the way to people who, of course, died during the apartheid era. So the walls are in remembrance of those heroes and heroines. They could not have chosen a more fitting place to hold this particular ceremony. We're going to take you through what the ceremony is going to be about, what it means, and why it had to be brought here. And someone who is going to take us through some of those aspects is, of course, Usis Mahadebe over here. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, let's talk about isiVivana, the meaning of this place.
Good morning. To fully understand isiVivana and its significance, we have to understand, first of all, that Freedom Park itself as an institution is a heritage site that was a result of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and it's meant to be a space where we recognize, we honor, with all the dignity that they deserve, those who endured pain, so that we can have the freedom and the ability to gather as we are doing today. isiVivana is a sacred space. Umsamo we're South Africa. It's our national umsamo.
In fact, all of us here are walking barefoot or in our socks. We've had to take our shoes off. Everyone here, there's no one, not a single person wearing shoes. Take us through the significance of that, what that means.
This place significance is that it represents what in Sesotho they would call lisaka. You will see it's in secular form. So when we sit here, we sit as a family. We gather here to reflect on our health and our situations as a community, as a family. And today the South African family gathers here to receive with spiritual significance, the return, the repatriation of those that lost their lives in the different countries during the struggle against apartheid. So Abogogo went to countries such as Zambia and Zimbabwe to bring their spirits back. This is also a resting space, a spiritual resting space for those that have lost their lives for our freedom. You will see the 11 boulders that surround isiVivana. 9 of them come from the different provinces of South Africa. We have 2 also ones that represent the international community that supported us through the struggle against apartheid, as well as one national one that represents the national government.
Of course, the South African family you are referring to that is here at this moment includes family members of the people we are honoring today. It also includes ministers of religion. It also includes traditional healers, but it also includes members of the public. Take us through very roughly what is going to happen here in the next one.
What is going to happen here is a spiritual ceremony that is going to be led by our interfaith committee, which represents the different faiths in the country. You will notice Abogogo, they're preparing so that they can perform indigenous practices that are in accordance with our customs as African. What we do when we bring back spirits of those that died far away, especially those that died in violence. Therefore, a branch from the tree called Umlahlankosi, they call it Mukalu in Chivenda, is used to communicate with those spirits so we can appease them and request for them to come with us. Then this would be their resting place. So this will become the place where anyone who wishes to come and reflect on life as a South African, even including from those from international community, can always come here. So the interfaith community will be leading the ceremony, the spiritual ceremony, which is the first leg of the event today.
After the first leg, what what is the next step? What's going to happen once all the proceedings here have been completed?
So the families, you'll notice families of the different people that have been exhumed and repatriated back to South Africa receive the remains of their loved ones, and a program that will probably be held at our sanctuary will then run off from there until the families are able to return with the remains of their loved ones, where they can now lay them to rest in their mother country, which they fought so diligently for.
Of course, I mean, we'll talk later. We'll take our viewers through the next steps, but also what is going to happen beyond today. But just for the benefit of our viewers, when we are not gathered like this, on an occasion like this one, what is this? What does this place get used for? What are the other things that get done here ordinarily?
So, as I alluded earlier, this is a sacred space. We, of course, bring different groups every day. There are school children that come to Freedom Park. There are families that arrive here. Different members of community and society arrive at Freedom Park on a daily basis. And every day they get to interact with this space, a place where, in circle with each other, everyone has the ability to come and reflect on their spirituality. So it's a place that is used every day because different groups come here, since it is the place where South Africans are meant to recognize, to remember those who gave us the freedom that we enjoy today.
Thank you very much for your time and for your insights. Of course, just to give our viewers a sense of who is here, and as proceedings are about to begin, right in front of us are members of the interfaith community, from Christians to traditional healers, Rastafarians, you name it, everyone. This is South Africa in all its diversity. Proceedings are, of course, about to begin any minute now. In fact, the formalities have begun. The Master of Ceremonies has just taken over, signifying, of course, the beginning of the proceedings. We do also have members of the families of the 42 people whose remains were brought back only the other day, on Wednesday. The representatives of those families are already here and are part of these ceremonies. But we also have cultural activists up there, some of them, who are also a part of this, was they have incredible knowledge about how this place functions, how ceremonies are conducted here, but also the meaning and significance of this place, but also of the ceremonies the ceremony that is about to get underway. So everyone is ready now, and we are about to start with the actual ceremony that is meant to be conducted here, which is a first, as we have been telling you a little later on. We're going to move away from here to another place where the president will be speaking, where the wreaths will be laid, but there will also be another ceremony before everybody leaves and before the remains of the 42 heroes and heroines then get to be moved to the various provinces across the country in terms of the wishes of their families. Let's take a listen to what the Master of Ceremony has to say about what's going to happen next.
Today symbolizes a very significant day, and it would have been inappropriate if we didn't start here. Not just to connect and bring back and integrate the spirits of the heroes and heroines that today have come back to the home soil, but also to say thank you. Thank you for the peace. Thank you for the unity. But today, as you know, symbolizes a practical example, a reminder that the freedom we enjoy today came at a high cost, that blood was shed so that we can all talk about 30 years of democracy. And therefore, as we do that, we also acknowledge the perseverance of the families, but for all of us as a nation to say, we have come a long way. And as we chart a way forward, united in our diversity, united in our belief systems, we are encouraging the future generations never to repeat the same mistakes again. I want to welcome you all, and you will see as the various faith communities pray, partner, intercede, and perform the rituals for peace, the rituals for integration. You are all welcome. I thank you.
Well, some welcoming remarks there as the Master of Ceremonies now takes over before proceedings are about to get underway. For now, though, I'm going to hand back to you, Naledi, in studio.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Vuyo. And that's Vuyo Mvoko, of course, speaking to us from Isivivani there at Freedom Park. 42 families that have gathered there after waiting for closure for many, many decades. And these are 42 individuals that are being commemorated today and will soon be laid to rest by the various families. Individual stories of them are really quite significant, and I'll tell you briefly just about one, and I'll do a sprinkling of some of them as we go. But Todd Matshigiza, who passed away on the 4th of October in 1968, was an outspoken journalist in the 50s. He became, along with Henry Nxumalo, one of the original writers of the Drum magazine. He wrote a musical criticism of the apartheid government and covered a wide range of urban subjects, making piercing social commentary in regular columns, his journalistic career continuing really to speak out against the injustices of the past. Many, many contributions that have been made there, lives lost, and now, finally, some closure for their families. We'll keep